Hi and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is VlogsBoutNothin. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy Saturday to join me. I really appreciate that. I'm here keeping it real as a 36-year-old guy with plans to do nothing with his life can be. Especially one who is persistently and just forevermore going through a phase of puberty. I say this because, one, obviously, I'm a little shameless in that I roast myself all the time. But also because, I think it's funny. I'd rather laugh at myself than have other meanies make fun of me, or whatever. But also, I've been breaking out for like 2 weeks now and I can't figure out why. And again, it's like I'm 36 years old. I'm not only am I worrying about like acne now, but I got other things got going on. I'm worrying about white hair. I'm worrying about mysterious hair. I'm just all these things that come with getting older, and I am relentless on it. Yes, and this may not be a popular opinion and review point held by many people that maybe watch the video, but guess what? I'm a middle-aged man with no clue with as to what's going on around me sometimes. Like literally within my own vicinity, like my own self. I'm like, what is happening? Yeah. Um okay, so I know that that was a sidebar. What I want to talk tonight about are food deserts. Link in the description below. There's some really cool resources available, including the definition of food desert. And guys, it takes me, and ladies and gentlemen, these are impromptu speeches. So while I may be inspired by certain topics or whatever, it takes me a minute to remember that I have to go back and put in the sources for improv talks because I've just been inspired by these talks. You feel me? I'm not drawing any actual information from them. Otherwise, I'd MLK it, in terms of citing it and providing a source. But that's also why on the channel page we have a different kind of video that we call extemp, and extemporaneous speaking, where we then do just that. We follow that format and we properly cite the videos before we post them in terms of where we're drawing that information from and so forth. But I think that food deserts are a relatively modern topic in that. Excuse me, 1 second. Yep, that happened again in live stream, on live stream. One of my hairs fell out of my mouth and was in my boca, as it would be. Yeah. But anyways, moving forward, food deserts. I came across my first one living in Phoenix, right? I was living in Tempe and I was traveling to Phoenix to get to work or whatever. And link in the description below to not only the news. I know there's a news article on this online because I watched the report, but there used to not be like a grocery store in South Central Phoenix until a Fry's was put there a few years back. And this is also a testament to my own locality here in Albuquerque. They just added a downtown grocery store. For a long time, cities were, for some reason, and I'm pretty sure it's because they were probably all institutionally and systemically racist. Yes, Democrats, Republicans, basically all boomers, you feel me, in terms of like modernizing some of the things that are zoned for laws and can't allow for grocery stores to be built in highly densely populated areas and so forth. It's like really backwards opposite thinking, right? In terms of like, we picked on the marginalized for like 50 years. Well, like throughout the country's entire inception, right? We did take this line from other people, but what I'm saying that is that like people should have access to food wherever they live. And just because you live in downtown or you live in the city or you're urban living, doesn't mean that the options to your food should be that at 7-Eleven who's going to charge you $3 for a banana. You feel me? Like, again, and isn't going to offer you the best quality food at the best kind of price. When you live in a densely populated area, that's even worse. There's no excuse. There's so many people that you should be able to provide and, sustain an infrastructure that allows for people to have basic access to get food. you know. And in South Central Phoenix, that wasn't the case for a long time. In downtown Albuquerque, that wasn't the case for a long time, you know. Furthermore, there was, and I'll include the link to the description below in this story too, but I was a local who was really upset with Albuquerque. Yeah, the city of Albuquerque, Mayor Barry or whoever, you know, whoever's running things down there. My name's Albert David Gian. And you know, the thing that I don't like about what is that there used to be a Walmart like in a bad part of town, a part of town that's underserved and marginalized because the surrounding areas don't want to do anything to change it in a good way if it doesn't directly benefit them in some crazy kind of cool financial way. But regardless, there was a Walmart in the neighborhood there, and it closed. And now the people that live in that neighborhood, like, they have no grocery store. Like, you know, again, that to me, as much of a fan of Walmart I am, is like, you know, they need to stop letting cities incentivize them into abandoning properties that historically Walmart can afford to take care of, if not for anything more than the communities that they serve. Now, you know, it's weird because the city of Albuquerque was like in mad collusion with Walmart to get them out of their, that Walmart privately owns that development, that retail space, you know, which obviously works for corporate Walmart in a way that if they ever abandon their stores, well, guess what? They have a whole building and really prime land to sell back to the city, you know. And so in Albuquerque here, what they did was is they allowed Walmart to close, and in return are promising local residents some kind of half idealistic serving up of values, like this little urban city, like, you know, no local really knows what it's about. I'll include the link in the description to be fair about what the plans are for this particular area. And you know, but again, the thing is that people should have access to food, and if corporations are going to be legally defined as people, then they should ultimately be responsible for criminal behavior. And yeah, I think it's pretty criminal when you decide to leave a community that you're serving because it's not making you the kind of money that you want it to make you, you know, when in fact it's the community, these the only reason that you're around, one, you know what I mean, like because people shop there, and two, we are supposed to live in a competitive atmosphere where you know, there could be in theory a couple of grocery stores next to one another, but in this part of town and in South Central Phoenix, again, a food desert has a real definition, and there are many places all over this country, especially where marginally targeted, socioeconomically challenged people of all race, and yes, most of the time more of black people race and brown people race, live in areas of which there's no access to a grocery store, and the only kind of fresh food they have access to is the McDonald's on the corner or the 7-Eleven across the street from the McDonald's on the corner. Again, we take for granted, I think, that we live next to grocery stores, or we live next to Walmart. You know, I am very lucky in that I am one of the very few people in all of the city where there are like 3 grocery stores next to where I live. You know what I mean? Like, but also next to where I live, really, really, really rich people live too. So, I mean, at some point, you know, developers decided to make it a place where there was going to be like a hub for food. And again, I'm obviously very grateful for that because I benefit from that. But there are places where, again, people don't benefit from anything that the government or policy or the people who are supposed to be looking out for you can provide, in that there's no access to food. And oftentimes when, you know, grocery stores are in poor areas, it's heavily trafficked with pedestrians and people that don't have cars, you know. And so it's tough when grocery stores close and they're abandoned, like the communities are abandoned by them, because then the people that have the least in those communities are affected the most, because they can't just get into their car and drive a few miles east, west, north, or south Like they're like literally stuck, especially the old people. One more story that I'll include in the link in the description below was how Albertsons was accused in Phoenix of having too many stores, and so they closed a bunch of stores. One of the stores they closed was this really, really, really popular Albertsons in South Tempe that like was right behind a retirement center that all these old people and people with disabilities used to be able to easily get to and from. When that Albertsons closed, literally hundreds of people that were unable to just like cross the street because of mental and physical health problems were denied access to food because now they can't even go to the Albertsons that was right there. Like again, yeah, some progressive lawyer out there is out there, championing, the fact that corporations have monopolies and shouldn't expand, but like you take away the places that need it the most from these so-called players. Like it's sort of like it's a no-win situation in that that's how corporations are going to react. They're not going to close their busiest like it just, and it blows my mind because you almost feel like it's done with intent. Like you almost feel like there's people like we get paid a whole lot more money that we could ever possibly imagine to do these studies that know they impact the communities, you know what I mean, and still do it. Like, I mean, we do live in a world where big tobacco knew that it killed us way long ago and it still kept on insisting that it didn't, and so there's that. Yeah. I hope that everyone has a wonderful Saturday evening. I hope that you guys are safe, and until our next video, we'll talk to everyone soon, okay? Bye.